All right, everybody. Welcome everyone tonight to Conversations About Credit with Chris. I am your host and credit expert, Chris Bridges. I am so excited to be here with you all. And for those of you who follow me on Periscope, you know that I've done several different platforms and different broadcasts. And for some reason, I've been trying to get to this one. And I think I finally found it. You know what I mean? I've been serving in the area of consumer and business credit, teaching people, changing lives, breaking the yoke of silence, all of that good stuff, just really operating in my purpose in the space of credit. And for the last year and a half, I've been doing a broadcast called Living on Top. Thank you so much for that. But I've been doing a broadcast called Living on Top with Chris Bridges. I've done radio. I've been on TV. And you know what? Over the weekend, if you're in the DMV, we had the blizzard. And over the weekend, it dawned on me, you know what I mean? All these things that I have been doing, all of these platforms that I have been creating, at the end of the day, what my heart's desire is to just teach and educate people about credit. What better way to do that than just have a conversation? Just simply have a conversation. So that's actually what we're going to be doing from now on. We're going to be having conversations because let me tell you, I don't know about you. As a matter of fact, put in the feed if your parents, your family members, grandma, grandpa, nana, and them, if anybody sat you down and had a conversation about credit when you were growing up. If they did, just tell me yes or tell me no. If you had a conversation about credit when you were growing up in your household, in your school, in your church, no, I know that's right. Neither did mine, so don't feel bad. You were probably in very, very good company. As a matter of fact, when I go around the country and I speak and I ask that question, very few people will actually tell me yes. So that's it, guys. Look, we were not having the conversations. We did not have the conversations. And so going forward, my mission is to impact generations. How am I going to impact generations unless I open up my mouth and start talking about credit, teaching other people so that they can do this thing? It's going to drive me crazy today in my ear. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a safe platform. Gail will tell you I know she was having a problem coming in, but Gail might come in and every time she would say, what do you want to do on the broadcast? What exactly is your heart for your broadcast? And I said, Gail, I really just want to teach people about credit. I just want to be the place to go to so that folks come in a safe, non-judgmental, and when no questions are silly, being able to just ask your questions, get your answers, and be able to live your very best life. And so that's what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm changing up some stuff. So if you've been following me, we've been doing Living on Top with Chris Bridges. And I think that we've been living on top for a year, but now we're going to have some conversations. And so that's kind of the new brand is going to be Conversations About Credit with Chris. Tell me if you like that. So for those of you who are out there, tell me if you like kind of that concept. If you think that, that's something that you would like to hear and you would like to see and follow. Again, just tell me over in the feed if you like that. Conversations About Credit. Now, you can tell me, but you can also tell others. So do me a favor right now, take a moment and tell your friends, tell them on Facebook, tell them on Twitter, wherever you are, Instagram, Pinterest, Periscope. Oh, I need to be doing that. I need to figure that out, how to Periscope at the same time. And make sure that you get everybody on the blab tonight and excuse this because it's driving me crazy. I know we're recording, but we're going to be having conversations today. So let me define what my understanding of conversation is, because we can have a conversation with ourselves, like straight up. You can stand in the mirror or look in front of a camera or whatever and I've done it plenty of times, and have a conversation with yourself. As long as you know what to answer and how to answer back to yourself, it's okay, right? So it's okay to talk to yourself as long as you've given yourself the right answers. So if we didn't learn about credit in the past, our parents didn't tell us, our schools didn't teach us, now we learned, by the way, I should tell you this, you did learn about credit. You just may not have learned the right things, but your experiences and your environments taught you very much about money management and credit. So, but anyway, so if we didn't learn it formally, we didn't learn it the right way. I don't want you to talk to yourself about it, right? Because you probably are not going to answer yourself in the right manner with the right information. So I want this to be a platform. So I'm going to kick off. Let me show you what it looks like. This is a place where we can come in and collaborate and really be able to get your questions answered. Now, here's the deal. If you want to jump in the seat, I'm leaving it open. Okay. The seat is open if you want to jump in the seat. Now, you can come in and ask me a question. I'm just going to take this thing out of my ear. Let me know y'all can still hear me because that's driving me crazy. You can come in and ask me a question about you or ask me a question about one of your friends. Y'all see that? So it could be a question about you or it could be a question about your friends. But let me tell you, first of all, again, here's kind of our rules. We got to know that credit doesn't define who we are. We already all agree that we were not taught about credit. And I know, like, my name is Chris Bridges, and yes, I do share the same name with Ludacris. But I know, like, my name is Chris Bridges, that there are people, now there were 35 people that jumped in this blab already in 6 minutes. The topic, the title has drawn them in. And so they'll probably be back and forth, in and out. But 35 people said, you know what, I'm going to pop into this blab because they're talking about credit. What does that tell you? That tells you that we are thirsty for this information. We are hungry for this information. We need this information. And so what I want to do is invite you to come in. No questions are silly. It could be, hey, how long does bad credit stay on your credit report? Whatever you want to know about credit, this is the platform for you to ask the question. I've done a chat with Chris segment, which is a real quick tip about credit for years now. So I'm going to start off by asking myself some of the most common questions that I get. I talk to clients every day, and y'all know if you follow me, I say day. Every day I'm talking to a client about credit, and I get some of the most common questions. So whether or not you want to know this or whether or not it's for your friends, I'm going to share with you some of my answers to some of the most common questions. Now, in case you got to jump in and you got to jump out, let me tell you how you can ask the questions. You can do /Q. Gail, do me a favor, and I know you got to go soon, but do /Q. And you can ask your questions right there, or you can jump in the seat. So if you're not camera ready, because Gail knows a lot of times I'm like, girl, I am not getting in front of that camera today. I am not camera ready. And that's for the ladies. If you are not camera ready, you can still submit your questions to us and we'll answer them right here. So let me start off by asking the most common question that I get, which is, Chris, where can I go and get a free, because y'all know free is for me, where can I go and get a free copy of my credit report? So there are actually two places that you can get a free copy. Now, there are different ways that you can get free copy, but let me tell you about the two websites that you can go to get a free copy of your credit report. The first one, and probably my first recommendation, so that you can get one from all three credit bureaus. Now, it's free for the report. It's $8 or something like that if you want to see your score. But if you're not really worried about your score, you want the content, go to annualcreditreport.com. That's annualcreditreport.com is where you can go and get a free copy of your credit report. Now, it's January. Great time if you have not looked at your credit report over the last year. And it used to be that we would tell people at least once a year. I'm telling you right now, you need to look at your credit report more often than once a year. But if you haven't looked at it in a year, it's a good time to kind of start off the year by finding out what's out there. What are people saying about you? So go to annualcreditreport.com. That's the best place to get your credit report for free. Now, where's another place you can get it for free? You all have all heard of this company. It's called Credit Karma. And yes, you can get your TransUnion and Equifax report for free. Couple of disclaimers. I'm all about telling you the truth. Now, Credit Karma is free, and you can get your scores as well. But Credit Karma is highly sponsored. So be careful about what you're clicking on. All right. So just because Credit Karma says that you need to file bankruptcy or you need to open up this, blue and black credit card does not mean that that's really the best strategy for you. So it's highly sponsored. Y'all know what that means. That means people have paid to promote on the website. So just be careful about some of the clicks that you do outside of looking at your credit report. But those are the two places, the only two. Now, if you put the word free anywhere in the browser or whatever, pull out your credit card because you're going to pay for it. So the only place you can get a credit report absolutely free is at annualcreditreport.com and Credit Karma. All right, that's probably the number one question that I get all the time. And then from there, people want to understand, typically I'll get, especially about Credit Karma, is, why is my score different on Credit Karma? Now, I'm starting the conversation tonight, but I told y'all, a conversation is two-way street. So I need you to jump in. I need you to submit your questions. I need you to engage. Now, by the way, if you put in conversationsaboutcredit.com, let me put that in over here. Conversationsaboutcredit.com. That is going to be our official website. That is formerly our Living on Top. So we're in the process of kind of converting everything over, but that's where you want to go to be able to start tracking this broadcast, this platform, conversationsaboutcredit.com. And right there's a pop-up button, and you can just simply submit any of your questions right there. We'll make sure that we get them answered on the feed. Also, if you're not in my database, so if you're following me, you're on this blab. So somebody may have invited you, or you may have followed me on Twitter or Periscope or anywhere on Blab. Thank you so much for that. I don't take that for granted. Thank you so much for following. But make sure that you hop on over to the website as well, and make sure you connect in with me that way. And you can go over to the conversationsaboutcredit.com. And then also you can go over to the Credit with Chris website and connect in with us as well. So welcome, Ms. Gail Turner Brown. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Girl, you got issues, and you better get that straight before 9 o'clock, because I know you've got a big blab tonight with John Leslie Brown at 9 o'clock for SBN TV.
Okay, let me try this.
So you better figure out how to get your volume on.
Can you hear me?
Gail needs to get her volume straight. But while Gail is getting her volume straight, again, welcome everybody who is joining me tonight for Conversations About Credit. I feel like the old DJs that talk about conversations in the dark. Well, we ain't gonna be here all night, so it won't be that kind of conversation. This is to set your life free. So I am making myself available as a certified credit expert, and really my life journey and purpose has been to impact generations by teaching about credit. So we're having a conversation. The other seat is open. I'm going to always keep my seats open. So if anybody wants to jump in and ask questions, remember that I still can't hear you, Gail. So jump in anytime if you think, okay, Gail's going to try to get that together. She's got a really, Gail is a founder and host of Small Business TV. And tonight, every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, John Leslie Brown. If y'all don't know who that is, he is the son of Les Brown, and he does a show called It's Our Time. So we want to make sure that we get Gail's blab up and running. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Chris Bridges. I'm the host of this new platform, Conversations About Credit with Chris. So I was starting it off because I believe that these 38 people who popped in and out of this blab was attracted to the title. And for those of you who are still here, so the title got you intrigued. You've been hanging in here with me. So if you have questions that you would like to ask, here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. Listen, there are certain topics of discussion that we don't talk about. Credit is one of them. So if you were raised in a household that said, don't talk about your credit, don't talk about your money, it's all taboo. Let me ask you, are you pleased with where you are? If everything is going good about your credit and you're in a good spot, then I still want you to engage with me, because there's something that you're doing that other people need to know about, right? So I believe in rewarding good behavior, even if it's a small thing, even if you did one thing that allowed you to either maintain or increase your credit score. I want to celebrate you. I want to celebrate you right here on this platform. But if there's something that you're struggling with, which is most people, if it's something that you're struggling with, you just can't get this thing to move. Maybe your credit score has been staying stagnant for a while and you're like doing everything. Because I'm telling you, I hear this every day. People come to me every day. They're like, Chris, I don't understand the problem. I'm paying my bills on time. Everything is fine. I haven't had a problem for years now. Everything is good, but my score just won't move. Listen, once you know how to play in this game, once I see you over there, money is your big problem. You need to jump in here and talk to me. But once you know how to play the game, hey, listen, my sons this year will be 30, 27, and 25. And when they were growing up, my 30-year-old, of course, he's the oldest. He knows everything. We love to play Monopoly. So as a family, we would play Monopoly. And he always would win Monopoly because he was a little bit older, so he was strategic more than the others, the other two boys. And he knew how to play the game. He knew which properties to get first. He knew, how much money that he could invest in his business. He knew all of these things. Well, my other sons were younger, and they didn't really get how to play the game and understand the rules. Well, as they got older, I remember the night that somebody else beat Robert. And it was a wonderful night because it was revelation for the other boys. They realized, wait a minute, I'm starting to understand how this game is played. I'm starting to understand how to win at this game. And so they then became victorious. They started winning. They started beating him. And of course, y'all know when you got competitive young men in the house, it was a funny thing because Robert was no longer beating his brothers in Monopoly. Well, I submit to you, understanding your credit is a lot like that. You got to understand how to win in the credit game. You got to understand the rules of the game in order for you to win. So if you want to win in the world of credit, because let me tell y'all something, it's not going to change. It's not like the banks, the lending, the financial institutions are lacking or slacking up on their credit guidelines. If anything, they're tightening it up. And so we got to get this information. We got to get this knowledge, and then we got to apply some action to it in order to get results. Because if you just sit around, if you just watch me on Periscope or Blab or Fox TV or read my articles in Forbes or read any of the 4 or 5 books I've written, if you're just reading this stuff and you're not actually applying action to this information that's going up in here, then you're not going to get the results. And so that's what I wanted to do today, was to provide, hey, Janetta, welcome. I wanted to provide a platform that allowed us here on Blab to be able to come to a safe place. Now, I've got a forum over there on conversationsaboutcredit.com. Join that membership. You can even join for free. Not, I want you to join at a paid level, but at the end of the day, just get connected, will you? But anyway, we've got a forum that we're going to be creating to allow us in a more private setting to be able to talk to one another and really be able to get some of these questions out. So everybody who's just joining, here's the deal. Hey, Ahmed, here's the deal. This is called Conversations About Credit. I can't have a conversation by myself. So if anybody's out there that wants to jump in, ask me a question. Remember, it could be a question for you. It could be a question about your cousin. It could be a question about anybody that you want or any subject that you want to talk about as it relates to credit. Jump in the seat or submit your questions here. Doing /Q. Hey, Leroy, welcome. Again, this is Chris Bridges. It's me. And this is Conversations About Credit with Chris. But I'm having a conversation by myself, so I need somebody to jump in. Also, you can just answer, if you want me to answer your questions without coming into the seat. Maybe you're not camera ready. Maybe you think that you don't want anybody to know who you are. Remember, your questions are not silly. I promise you that there's somebody else. 44 people have popped in here. They came in here because that subject said credit, not because I was giving away $1 million. So 44 people have come through this blab already in 19 minutes. So I know I'm on to something. Miss Gail, can we hear you now?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Girl.
Oh my God.
You having my problem like I had. Hey, Ahmed, can you hear Gail out there? Maybe it's just me. Can anybody else hear Gail? Tell us over the feed. You hear Gail or you hear me?
Okay, Ahmed, do you hear me? You hear both?
Gail, say something. You hear Gail? Really? I don't hear Gail at all.
So you the one with the problem.
Oh, thank you guys. Y'all are awesome. I appreciate it. All right, then something's going on with me because I don't hear Gail. So Gail, just talk to the people because I don't hear you. You're going to have to submit a question. Type in your question, Gail, if you want me to answer, because I don't hear you at all and I don't know what's going on. And I know this is recording, so we want to make sure that we can get folks' questions answered. There are tons of feedback. Thank you so much for telling us that. And then Gail went silent. Gail better get it together because Gail has a big blab tonight. Okay, I got you, Leroy. I'm going to answer that question in a minute. All right, Gail, if you have a question, you're not frozen. I can hear you, but if you have a question, Gail, then do me a favor and just put it in the feed and I'll answer the question. All right, I've got a question here. Again, Conversations About Credit with Chris. Let's have a conversation, people. All right, Leroy wants to know, what do you tell someone who does not have or has not established their beacon score? Oh, fancy, fancy. You know about the beacon score. And what can they do to build it up? All right, great. This is fantastic. So here's the thing. A beacon is actually one of the scoring models. Most people have heard of FICO, FICO, which stands for Fair Isaac Corporation. Beacon is just another type of scoring model. Most people, I don't hear about that a lot. But anyway, so what you can do, hey, listen, this happens a lot. If you're a young adult, or if you know a young adult or you have a young adult, listen to me very carefully. But also, this same situation can come up if you are older or seasoned like me. I'll be 50 in March. So this is the deal. Sometimes we get to a place, again, where we need to build credit. Sometimes we get to a place we need to restore it or to maintain it. But if you need to build credit and you don't have already established credit, a couple things you could do. Number one, you can borrow somebody else's credit. Go figure. Yes. You can establish credit by being added on as an authorized user. So you are borrowing someone else's established credit. Great strategy. Listen, this is for you adults. Maybe you've got a young adult in your life, or you know somebody, or you just want to be nice. But again, somebody add them on to an existing credit card. So by adding them onto an existing credit card, it allows them to now mirror and borrow your credit card. Now, I told y'all I'll be 50 in March. So if anybody wants to start sending the gifts, I will gladly receive them. Just inbox me and I'll, man, I'll be 50, March 21st. No kidding. Anyway, so I'll be 50. So listen, if I needed to establish credit, you can use that same strategy. Authorized user. Basically, you are borrowing someone else's credit file. It's a whole lot of pros about that. And I know if you ask somebody, though, they might have some questions about it. So you can contact me later. I'll give you the best conversation to have when you want to ask somebody to add you on as an authorized user. You need to be prepared to know how to ask that question. Trust and believe. But that's a great strategy, basically of borrowing someone else's credit. Another thing is to maybe get a secured card. So there are secured cards available pretty much at any banks or credit unions. It does matter, though. Some banks really make you qualify for a secured card. And a secured card is where you put your money in the bank and you borrow against your money as collateral. Go figure that you actually have to qualify to go borrow your own money. So you want to be careful. Some banks you may not really want to go to if you don't already have established profiles. Some will be a little bit more lenient than others. And again, reach out to me if you want to have a personal conversation about that, and I'll tell you where you might want to stay away from. But those are two great ways to start establishing credit. Don't go try to get the American Express pink and purple bedazzled card. You ain't gonna get it, okay? So stay kind of where, again, people who will probably you could qualify for. But authorized user, go borrow somebody else's established positive trade line. And then a secured card is another great strategy when you want to learn how to build. So hopefully that answered the question. Leroy, put it over in the feed, because if I'm not giving you the answer or that it's not clear, I need to go back in and dive a little bit deeper. So Leroy, do me a favor, if you're still hanging in here, just put over in the feed if that was a good enough answer for you and if you understand that. Again, secured card, authorized users, just on the top of my head, those are two great ways that you can establish credit. Thank you so much for that question as well. Gail, just make sure that you get it straight for 9 o'clock, because we're not going to be on here all night, and I'm going to be passing it over to you for SBN Presents John Leslie Brown. So we want to make sure you get that far. All right. So great. Okay. Thank you so much, Jen Finter Prizes. All right, Ahmed, I'm gonna let you in. So listen, here's the deal. Borrow somebody's credit as long as you need to. Typically, it takes about 3 to 6 months of reporting in order to really get that traction going. But the idea is that you're borrowing theirs until you can get yourself established enough that you don't have to maintain. I mean, I've got a son, my son that'll be 27 in February is still on my card from his, from when he was 18. He's a Morehouse grad, so shout out to Morehouse. He's a Morehouse grad, and he's still on that card. Now, the oldest one, I told y'all, will be 30 in April. He got off, shortly after he graduated from college because he established his own credit. So you stay on as an authorized user, or you leave someone on as long as necessary until they can kind of use it as a springboard or use it to complement their existing credit, and then they should be able to get off. All right. Remember, they're not co-owners or they're not co-responsible for that credit. They're just borrowing yours. Hey, Ahmed. I
Hey,
know I owe you a
Chris.
call, so thank you so much.
That's
I
okay.
can't hear anybody. So
You
that's
can't hear
actually
me?
must not have been Gail. That must have been me.
Can you hear me?
Ahmed, say something.
Can you hear me now?
No, but you know what? That must not have been. That must be me, because I didn't hear Gail either. Well, this is great. I'm having a conversation by myself. I'm gonna have a conversation with me, and I can't even hear you.
Because I can hear you well.
It must be me, Ahmed, because I couldn't hear Gail either. Can you hear me? Yeah, Gail.
I can hear you.
All right, so this is what I'm gonna do, because I want to have a conversation. I was telling y'all to come in here. I'm gonna refresh. Hey, Gail, can I refresh? And let me see if I can make Ahmed a hey, you guys, thank you so much. Everybody can hear me, but I can't hear you. So Ahmed, I'm gonna make you a co-host. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Oh, Gail is
Absolutely.
in. All right. Let Gail pop in. I'm going to refresh. You guys hang in there. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I'm just going to refresh so I can actually hear you and have a good conversation. Hold on a second.
Hey, Ahmed. All
Hi,
right.
Gail.
All right. So I knew it wasn't me. I've been on this thing and want to make it seem like it's me, but it wasn't. But it's cool.
Well, that's good.
But this is what I do know. One of the things that Chris said in reference to the authorized user, it absolutely totally works. I did it with both my son and my grandson, and shoot, my one of my sons is going to have a baby. That's going to have a social security number as soon as it gets born. So we may do it with him too, as soon as he get here.
Is it a difficult process to do?
No, not really. No, it's not. It's not difficult. You just have to you just get, all right. Talk.
Hey,
Okay, you
were doing okay. Yeah, I can hear y'all fine.
Can you hear
All
us,
right, that
Chris?
was me. So
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for your patience. No, Ahmed, it's actually a phone call. So this is why I love this strategy, because it's a phone call. Now, here's the key, though. You got to make sure that, let's say you're adding someone else on, right? It's a phone call. You need their social in order for it to appear and be reported on their credit report. But you're the only person then, as the owner of the account, that can add and remove somebody from the account. Very important. So for anybody, unfortunately, that might be going through a breakup or a divorce, you better get this straight before you get that judge that gives a final order, right? Because let's say you're on your ex-spouses or your ex or whomever, you have them added. You can't call and get yourself off. So you better be in good standing when all of this stuff go down, right? Because they have to call and take you back off. So it's very important. But it's really a phone call. And here's the beautiful thing, is also no inquiry. So we got the best of both worlds, right? It's free, it's a phone call, and there's no inquiry because you're not a co-owner of this debt. This person is just being added on as an authorized user. So it's a beautiful thing. Got it?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
One other question. As it relates to business credit, I read something about as you're establishing, once you get your DUNS number, to set up 3 business bank accounts. Checking, savings, and an expense, and then cycle money through.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with your credit, unless you overextend on your bank. That's more of an accounting, money management principle for your business, right? Because just like your bank account today on your consumer side, I don't know how many bank accounts that you have. Your creditors, when someone is reviewing your credit profile, there's no indication about your bank. I mean, unless you have an overdraft account that reports like a revolving account. But other than that, your banking transactions, your banking relationships has no bearing on your credit. Make sense? So that's more of a great strategy for just money management in general.
Are you getting any feedback on my audio?
I'm not.
Here's the thing.
All right.
When we get big enough, because there's 53 people have jumped in and out of this blab, I'm going to just go and get that big microphone and look like I'm really a professional podcaster. So, we're going to have to just say, excuse me.
You got to step your game up.
Store this week, I'm mad. You the man. That's why you worry about our feedback, because your stuff is tight. All right, there you go. I appreciate
Yeah.
you. I appreciate you. So listen, everybody, welcome so much to
Thank you.
Conversations About Credit with Chris. I am Chris Bridges, and I'm just here to avail myself. And I wanted to make sure that I've created a safe environment for you to come in, even if you just want to be like a fly on the wall and listen to the questions. And, maybe you want to put a question up in the feed. Remember, you could do that on Blab with a /Q. And so we just wanted to make sure that we're here to support you. That's my good friend, Ms. Gail Turner Brown. I know she's not going to be hanging with me too long tonight because she's going to be bringing on at 9 o'clock Mr. John Leslie Brown for his program called, it's our time or it's your time?
It's your time.
I love it. I love it. So we're first having the conversations that unfortunately our families, our households, our schools, we're not taught about credit. And so I've, had different platforms, different programs, and I think my heart is just to have a conversation. So we open up the seats for you to just come in and jump in and ask a question. Remember, your question can really just save somebody's life. It could change somebody's life because maybe they wanted to ask that question, but they were embarrassed or shy and they didn't want to come on. So we got to get these conversations going. Now, when you leave the Blab, you can go on over to the website, Conversations About Credit with Chris, formerly our Living on Top page. And we're in the process of making some changeovers. But one of the things that we're going to be doing, we have a forum, and it's our own private. It's not Facebook. Everybody's not going to see your pictures and all that. It's just it's a private group forum. So you got to go out there and register for one of the memberships that makes sense for you, which is one of them's free. So that should make sense for you. But you got to go out there and register to be a part of this forum. And then we're going to start kind of bringing the conversations from Blab to the website, conversationsaboutcredit.com. So, I appreciate you. All right, so we got another question. Let's put that. Now, remember, if you have a question, you can do the /Q. Let's put that up. Let me see something. /Q for questions. Because y'all are going to learn about me. I'm telling you, I'll be 50 in March. But back then, I think when I was growing up, they didn't know anything about ADHD, but we know about it now. So I get very distracted.
Okay, that's funny.
So we got to make sure that we have the questions. All right, so somebody, there is a question here. It says, I am.
Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, go ahead. I'm going to format it correctly.
Oh, that's okay. All right, that's okay. Let's just get the questions going. So the question is, I'm only a student, 25-year-old student, don't have a lot of money, so I have a credit card that I'm thinking of using and maybe earn some money with interest. Is it possible? And sorry for your long question. Okay, no problem. No need to apologize. Listen, let's just get it out there, even if we have to slice and dice the question. So here's the thing. Yeah, do me a favor, Sister Serva. Do me a favor. Do your question again so I won't miss it, okay? So I think if I'm understanding this question, you're 25, you're a student, you don't have a lot of money, but you have a credit card and you're thinking about using the credit card to earn money with interest. So a credit card is used to borrow against, right? So you're buying something, you're paying for something today with intentions on paying it back later. So you're not making money off of a credit card. A credit card is taking your money, right? So it's not an asset, it's a liability. Now we need it, so don't get me wrong. So I want to make sure you understand kind of how to leverage and use your credit card, because the interest that is on your credit card that is being charged to you is money that you have to pay back for borrowing the access to that credit, right? So you got a $10 charge and you're paying 15.99 interest rate on it. That's money you are paying to borrow that credit. So be very careful as a student of what you charge. Please know that every time you swipe with that piece of plastic, there is a bill waiting for you at the end of the month. Some credit cards are due in full at the end of the month. Some credit cards are due with a minimum payment. And so just be mindful. So often as young adults, we're just learning how to manage our money. That's the biggest thing I hear, is that nobody told me about this and I didn't realize that I had to pay it back. You use, you pay. You use, you pay. So what I want you to do is, as you're managing this, start also just using cash throughout the week or throughout the month. And because cash is a little bit, more emotional when you give it up. right? So a lot of times when we have credit cards, we tend to pay for stuff that we really don't need. You're probably buying stuff for your friends and all of that. Don't do that. Start leveraging and using your cash, and then that way you'll be more mindful of what you're spending. So again, and y'all got to know, listen, I give long-winded answers. So, but I hope that helps you to better understand the deal about interest on credit cards. Your credit card is a liability, it's not an asset. All right, here is another question. Says, I'm in the process of clearing my negative marks. Good for you. And you're 580, which is required. I'm a 580 required for an FHA loan. Am I able to apply for a loan if I've not paid everything off? Okay, great. So this particular person, thank you so much for your question. You are in the process of buying a house. Kudos and congratulations to you. You're at a 580. That's required for FHA. And the question is, can you apply for a loan even though everything is not paid off? So that question is really more suited for your lender. And here's why. A 580 credit score, and by the way, you know, FHA, when you read the FHA guidelines, a lot of times they'll give you their guidelines on HUD's website. That ain't always going to be the same guidelines when you go to the actual bank. So a lot of lenders and banks will give you what we call overlays. So, hey, because FHA didn't even used to have a credit requirement. But we were lenders. My husband and I used to have a mortgage company. Trust and believe our banks had credit requirements. So be careful about that too. Or everything you read on like HUD's websites, now you have to go to your lender. If you don't have one, I got plenty of them. Just, you know, reach out to me afterwards. But you got to ask your lender, what are your specific guidelines for FHA approval? Because 580 is low. Most of them on average is a 640. So if you've got a lender today that will do a 580, you may want to also look at, in addition to like if the 580 is my minimum credit score, what are the other compensating factors I need to have? Because if your score is lower than average, trust and believe they're probably going to want something from you. They're either going to charge you maybe a slightly higher interest rate, or they're going to want to have your profile be as clean as possible, which means if you have open collections, if you have public records and things like that, they're probably, you know, going to push back on that. So I can't really answer what do you have to pay, because it depends on the guidelines for that particular lender. Most lenders are not going to like things like public records, which are judgments and liens that still have balances. They're not going to do it. You're going to have to be on a payment plan, or show them or negotiate a settlement with open public records, because a public record can jump on as a collateral to that property. So a lender is not going to give you money to buy a new house and then have that house in jeopardy if you have an open public record. Repossessions, things like that. Some of those larger types of charge-off collection type debt, they're usually deal breakers for lenders. Okay, so that's just a few tips. But at the end of the day, you got to go back to the lender that you're going to be working with. And if you're a first-time home buyer, try to find somebody that is an expert that works with first-time home buyers, because they can make sure that you get access to the best programs that are out there and educate you through this process so that you not only buy your house, but that you keep your house. Now, the last thing I want you to know, that buying a house with credit is a short-term goal, because you can buy a house with bad credit. Yes, you can. 580, 620, 640. Nobody else is going to be jumping up and down, giving you rah-rahs and handshakes on those scores. So those scores are not your best. We got to get you in the upper 700s. Okay. So hopefully that gave you the roundabout long answer, but it gave you what you needed. All right. We got any more questions? Yeah, go on, girl. I got you. Go ahead, Gail. Go get ready for John Leslie. Love you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, I'll see you a little bit.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, somebody asked a question. Let's see if we can put this way. Hey, Diana. Let's see. Don't have a job? Is there any way you can correct credit until you get a job? That is a great question. So let me answer it my long about way. This is just Chris. Y'all know can't nobody do me like me but me. But here's what I'm going to say. First of all, credit is affected by our ability to pay. Okay. So if we have a derailment, let's just say, things just go and we can't pay our bills, credit is probably not going to be the first thing on the top of your mind. You got to make sure that you're not your wants, but your needs are taken care of. So there are times that I tell my clients and I tell people that I talk to, listen, as much as I want you living on top in every area, especially your credit, man, just don't even worry about it. So make sure that all of your needs are taken care of. But there are some things that you could probably do that don't really require a lot of cash flow, maybe paper and a stamp. So if there are some negative things on your credit report, so you may not be in a place to pay all of your negative debts or to even maintain your current debts. But let's say you've got some accounts that you've already paid and they're still reporting as negative, because you all got to know, just because you pay something does not mean it automatically comes off your credit report unless there's maybe a DC ticket if you're in the DMV. So maybe there's some negative things that have been out there. They're still within the statutes of limitations, so they're not legally just coming off your credit report. But maybe you can dispute some of those. Y'all, know that as consumers, we have the right under the Fair Credit Reporting Act to dispute negative information. So if it's incomplete, inaccurate, or unverifiable, so maybe you could do that. You know what I mean? You may not be able to pay a lot on some of your debts, but maybe you've got some negative things, because everything negative is having an impact to your score. So, try and at least do that. Again, doesn't cost anything but some paper and a stamp. But you can absolutely open up an investigation and dispute the negative things on your credit report and try to get as many of those things off until you get yourself back on your feet and position yourself to start paying on some of the other debts. Again, any of these questions that I'm answering, if I'm not hitting it right on, or if you want to have follow-ups, go to the website. Going out there, actually, I'm going to send you somewhere different until I get the new site set up. So go to goodcreditwithchris.com. Go to goodcreditwithchris.com and then just register to talk with me one-on-one. So we'll take it off of Blab. We started here, we're going over there. But you can go over to goodcreditwithchris.com, schedule for a no cost, no obligation assessment with me. So we're just doing one-on-one. So I'm gonna try to answer questions as much as we can here on this platform, and then feel free to just register to talk with me off of Blab. So hopefully that was a good answer. And another thing we try to do is connect. So Diana, please reach out to me as well. And I want to figure out what I can do to get you employed. So I don't just talk to me, off the Blab, or if you want to put your information out there in the feed, maybe somebody is looking for your area of expertise. But we want to make sure that we support one another as well. So in addition to answering questions, jump in here and talk with everybody. All right, gotcha. All right, I'm going to answer that. Okay, last question. Are student loans included in the DTI ratio? And if so, how does that affect how much you qualify for? I can't wait to see the picture of your house, because you're going to get this house. Absolutely, yes. Student loans are included in the DTI. It used to be if they were deferred for more than 12 months that they didn't have to count them. But I'm kind of hearing that some of those guidelines are changing. And so now, even if they're deferred, what they're doing is they're having you still get your estimated monthly amount. So even deferred student loans, the lenders are requiring that you get an estimated monthly amount on those student loans. And yes, they include it. So for those of you who are joining us, welcome. My name is Chris Bridges. This is Conversations About Credit with Chris. And I'm just answering all of your questions right here. So the DTI, if you're not sure what that is, for those of you who purchased a home or want to buy a house or in the middle of it, DTI is debt to income ratio. And that's where the lenders look at all of your debt and they look at your income, and your debt includes the expenses for this new house, the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance. And they look at how much house can you afford to buy based on your income. And so, yes, student loan, monthly payments, all of your debt, they look at it, pull your credit report. Everything out there that has a monthly payment attached to it will be included in your DTI. And again, student loans, now you have to get an estimated monthly payment for your student loans, and they will be including those in the DTI as well. There's something fairly new. All right, you claim that. That's right. I can't wait to see that picture. Listen, that's what I tell my clients. They be calling me up like, did I tell you that we moved in our house? I'm like, no, and I want the picture. I mean, they didn't even invite me over to the home blessing and get some food. At least you could do is send me the picture. So yeah, if I say something that opens up some opportunities for you, I need to hear about it. I need to be in celebration with you to see the blessings that you will get from maybe something that I've shared. So I thank you so much. So again, for those of you who joined tonight, we kind of did a sneak preview, sort of a test on this particular platform, Conversations About Credit with Chris. And so I'd love to get your feedback here. So put in the feed if you think that this is something that would be helpful. If you'd like to, come back in and join us, we're going to probably do this. I haven't figured out exactly how often we want to do it, but definitely frequently, at least once a week, that we want to just have it. And I want to make sure that you invite everybody, So if you're watching now and you think you like this platform, give me some feedback over there. Just say yes or say no so that I can continue to tweak. Again, my mission is to impact generations by educating about credit, man. We got to break the silence because folks are in bondage as it relates to credit. I'm not an expert in all things money. Don't ask me about taxes. Don't ask me about stocks and bonds and all of that. Ask me about credit and I got your answers. And so that's what we want to do, is to be able to have a safe place for you to come. Now, jump on over as well. Again, thank you so much. If you want to talk with me for a no-cost assessment, I'm putting that information in right now. And we are in the process of kind of modifying the website for this particular platform, Conversations About Credit. It was Living on Top. So we're kind of making some changes. Conversations About Credit, making some changes to that as well. So just make sure you jot down these websites, going out there and connect with me. If you didn't get a chance to pop in and ask your question, or if you'd like to talk to me one-on-one, that's just an opportunity for us to take it off Blab. This is sort of for everybody. We have a forum that we're creating on the Conversations About Credit. It's not going to be a Facebook. I don't need your picture. I don't need your credit report. Put your scores up there. It is a no judgment zone. Listen, imagine that this square that you're looking at for me is 4 walls, right? So when you walk into my presence on my Blabs, my Periscopes, my workshops, wherever I'm doing, whenever you come into my presence, you just entered into the no judgment zone. Because if you worried about what everybody else think, if you worried about opinions of others, you are not going to get your answers and you are not going to get your breakthrough. So that's just real, right? So we just got to have a safe place for you to come. Does anybody else out there have some more questions? Because we're going to be shutting this down soon. I want you guys, I wish Gail was still out there. I know she had to go. But if you didn't already, connect in with SBN TV, Miss Gail Turner Brown, tonight on Blab. Mr. John Leslie Brown, the son and grandson of Les Brown and Mamie Brown. Gail produces his show, and it's after me at 9 o'clock. So thank you so much, College Savvy Coach. Hey, College Savvy Coach. Listen, I'm trying to get to, I don't know if you really have anything to do with college. I don't know about that, but I'm going to just say this, because if any of you all do, if you all have connections in college, I have got to get to these college students before they become clients of mine later. So we're looking for avenues, introductions, recommendations. I'm a speaker, so we'll look to go out and educate and do these workshops in colleges and maybe secondary schools as well. So if you want to have us come out to college near you, connect with me so that we can do that. We got to talk, because most people come to me, they come to me because they did not learn about credit at home or in school. So imagine what your life would be like, how much further you would be if somebody like me pulled you aside when you were in college or when you were first graduated from high school and taught you how to play this game. I told you guys who were on here earlier about my sons playing Monopoly. The oldest one dominated the game. But as soon as those little baby brothers learned how to play that game, it was on, and it was a game changer because they knew how to play. They knew the rules, and they started whipping his butt. And so that's what we want to do in Canada. Hey, let's talk. I'll figure out where to go. My mission is to impact generations. I can't impact generations by not getting out there. So listen, that's what it said. You've got to make sure that we are, hey, Stephen Childs, that we are sharing this information. So that's what I want this platform to be. Absolutely, that you can do that. There are homeowners. Hey, Stephen Childs, give me a call. Maybe we'll talk about doing a special, if you want to do a virtual session for your group in Atlanta. My son is in Atlanta, so it might be a good reason for me to go down there too. But we can talk about that. So good to see you here. Hey, listen. All right. Any other questions? Anybody got any questions for you or your cousins? That's my little thing. Make sure that you submit your questions. You can also, when you go to that website, conversationsaboutcredit.com, there is a contact me, and you can send me a message right there on the homepage. So if you'd like for me to answer any questions, maybe you don't want to get on the blad. Maybe you don't want, to pop in on the seat. The seats are always going to be open. I'm never going to lock these seats for this broadcast. But if you don't want to, submit it that way, but you want me to answer your questions, I will send you a response to that email, and I will answer the question live on the Conversations About Credit with Chris. So you've got a way to still get your answers, but I will absolutely respond to you directly and answer your question. And it'll be because trust me and believe, whatever you ask me, somebody else may be waiting for that answer as well. So I'll make sure that we have that. All right. I think that I've answered all the questions on the table. I'm actually going to let you guys get out of here. I didn't think I would be on this long. I'm looking forward to the day that I'm on here for hours, because it's just that many people that are hungry for the information. Remember, Les Brown actually quoted this from a guy named Mark Anthony. Not Mark Anthony. What is his name? I think it's David Anthony or something Anthony. I loved it. I heard it from Les, so wherever he got it from. But what Les Brown said is that there are only two things in life, right? Paraphrasing here, because I don't remember the whole thing. But there are two things in life. There are reasons and there are results. And guess what, you guys? The reasons don't matter. It's only about the results. And here's what I believe. We can't change yesterday, whatever your credit score is or was yesterday, whatever decisions you made about your money and your finances yesterday, it's over. Whether you were a good person yesterday or you made a mistake and cussed out somebody, I don't care. It's over. It's done. You cannot change yesterday. However, we have the ability, we have the control, we have the power to change our tomorrow based on the decisions, the knowledge, the execution, the implementation of the things that we do today. So can't change yesterday, but we can't. I don't know who's calling me, y'all. I'm on this blab. We can't change yesterday, but we can change our tomorrow with the decisions that we make today. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. And again, I hope that this has been helpful. We're going to be back. We're going to figure out the best time, the best, day to do Conversations About Credit. But I appreciate you. My heart is really just excited tonight that the feedback and, I believe that this was needed. And so thank you all so much. Connect with each other on the top of Blab. For those of you who are new to Blab, like Stephen Childs, put your picture up there because nobody's going to want to talk to you with eggs. So put your picture up there. Connect with everybody. If you've not followed me, please do that. Follow me as well. And let's just continue to lock arms, have the conversations, and let's start changing some lives. So I got to get out of here. Remember to listen out for John Leslie Brown after me on SBN TV right here on Blab. And then, of course, you can always watch the replay so you can catch what we talked about earlier. Again, I am Chris Bridges. Who am I? I am Chris Bridges. And this has been Conversations About Credit with Chris. I thank you guys so much for being with me tonight. And remember, send me your questions on Conversations About Credit. I'm putting it back in the feed. Aboutcredit.com. Thank you. All right, you guys, stay blessed. Take care. Bye-bye.